It did? It ate our lilac-y bushes? Oh, wait, what is it doing, Ellie? Ugh. Oh, that's so nice, baby. Oh, yeah? Wait, there's like a chat I'm supposed to look at. Oh god, how do I get to the chat again? Oh, hello. Wait, hello there. Ah, Jesus. I think the pop-out chat is better for this. I don't want to watch PJ Masks. I'd really rather not, baby. I don't like it. Oh, well. Oh my gosh, you have a sprinkle. Yeah? Well, you go ahead and eat your sprinkle cookie, okay, Ellie? Oops. What? Yeah? What are you talking about, Dom? How did, like... That's what I'm looking for. Oh, okay. What? What am I looking at? Oh, well, where's the thing? I haven't seen that. Dom, what's up? Do I need to free you? I think today is probably going to be a short day given the way these kids are whining at me. Photos. Why is it all... Okay, here we go. That's what I want. Okay. What color? Okay. Whoa! Dom, what's up? Where are those shadows that I put on it? Okay, 35. Do I have anything else? No, I do not. Okay. Wait, what was that? Oh. Dang it. Okay. Make this shit look like actual models, maybe, if I can. And get rid of that one. Okay. Is there anyone here? There's 2 people here. That's probably me. Layer 2 is the one that I want. Wait, I have one for that. Okay. Ow. That won't do. That's totally the wrong brush. YouTube, why are you playing my thing all out of order? Although maybe I should be on Pandora again anyway. Just cause I'll get videos and then I'll lose my speed on it. Good. Alrighty. Gotta pull that up over everything. Interesting. That layer. Which one is that? Where is it? Is it this one? No, it's not that one. That one should be like way down here. Fuck you, Photoshop! Dumbest fucking program ever. Alrighty. Is it that one? No. That one? No. Ah, there it is. Layer 2. Turn that up a little bit. Let's undo that. Okay. Yeah, I bet you do. Do you need out, Dominic? Oh, sorry, Dom. Oh no, my coffee beeped. I have to go get that. Alright, get out of here. Alright, I think that's done. Okay. It's not done. Here's my overlay. That one. I want to bring in just a little bit more of this. That much. Okay, I guess for anybody watching at this point, I'm just going to put a link to my comic. There's 8 chapters. There's 8 chapters so far. Well, I'm drawing chapter 8. There's like 6.5 on the website. It's free. It's just a webcomic. No commitment to anybody to pay money or anything like that, but I do appreciate people reading it. It makes me very happy. And, you know, it's something I like to do. I do a page a week. I would put this equal to Nerf for me, but I don't spend quite as much time as on Nerf, because Nerf is more time consuming in some ways, and stuff. Let's put a message here for anyone coming in later. Oh, they got the old Google emojis in the chat here. Oh man, I miss those. Make them ugly. Every other. Or maybe I just don't have the Google ones anymore because I didn't hack, or what is it? Jailbreak? What do they call that? I didn't do whatever that thing you do to your phone is so that I could get different emojis on my new phone. Alright, I had a list. This is the list of stuff I need to do. I can't check the flip up site retention right now because I need to go play with someone's Rival Blaster to see how they do that, and I can't remember how they do that. So, for the moment, we'll just work on... I don't know what we're going to work on. Detailing! No, that's a waste of time. I don't need to do any detailing. I kind of need to double check my component mounting. Okay. I also wanted to check what a bigger battery would look like in here and if it would be a problem. Oh, I know what we need. Okay. We need mag stoppers. Oh god, how am I going to put that in there? I guess I'll have to do that with... Oh, I don't want to do that with the pusher mount though. Oh god. I forgot about that. That's not good. Man. Jam door. Make sure that's... Okay. I don't want to keep adding more and more new components here, but I feel like that might be the way to do it. Where's my page? Okay. From my other page and my other page. Okay. Oh, man. I guess I should... Is that a separate body? Oh, hey, it is. Oh, hey, that could almost be useful. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. We'll combine that later. I've got 5 viewers. Welcome. Hello, all. What is 4? That's me too. Welcome, all 4 of you. In your esteemed opinions, what do you think is the best way to put in a mag stopper? Should I make a separate component, or should I try to attach it to another one? Like, make it a part of, say, like, my midsection here. That depends on how you print this, too. How big is this? Oh, that's pretty small. Which means this one's probably comparably sized. Yeah, we could print that on like a Prusa clone. Which is what I want. I want this thing to be compatible with my small printer so that I can, you know, maybe sell these someday. Or something. Who knows? Man, I don't know. This is rough. Wait, is that my mag release? What is that doing that high? That does not need to be up there. I guess we can just make it like that. Oh, I just remembered what I've been forgetting to do. The springs. Okay, wait, I did one. I need to do the mag release spring. What is the best way to do that? Well, it works well going up against the cage and the pigeon. That's pretty thick. Hey, how thick is that? Oh yeah, I can bring that down a lot. Nearly 2 millimeters. Alright. What are you laughing about, baby? Yeah. You can go get one. Okay. Honestly, depending on how the spring is pulling it. I'm pretty stupid. That's awful. Well, there's no helping that, I don't think. Couldn't you watch something I like more? Oh. Yeah, you can have that juice box. I'm making the HP3. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. That isn't good. Man, I hate telling names. Let's grab all of these and rotate them. Can I do that? Will it do it? It won't do it, will it? Oh, wait. No, I haven't tried it yet. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's better. I don't think there's a good way to... I guess. But that means I need to turn off my music, Ellie. I gotta go find different music.
Don't get too loud, because
Dom isn't sleeping. He's outside.
he's outside, but don't keep music too loud, because I know what,
Alrighty, I want music. Maybe I'll do podcasts some other time, but for now, I'm gonna keep on with music. Where's my music? And we'll go back to Queens of the Stone Age because they're my favorite. We'll just listen to this CD.
yeah, don't do it loud, okay?
I am not doing it loud, Ellie. I'm doing it really quiet. Ugh.
And I have to watch Friday, okay? Dad?
Yes,
Can I watch Friday?
I guess.
Oh, can I get the stuff?
I don't want to source springs and stuff for these things. You know what? I'm going to take a break from this. It's been a while since I've touched the turkey. It's so long it's not on my list anymore, is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Ow. You bring me this stuff, I guess I'll turn it on, but it's going to be quiet because I'm doing stuff. Hey, could you go check on Dom while I turn it on? Go out there and see what he's doing.
Dad!
Go find him. Where is he?
He's talking to a bird.
He's talking to a bird?
Uh-huh. He's talking to a bird.
He's talking to a bird. Well, I don't see him. Where is he?
He's talking to a bird.
If you want to watch a movie, I would. You sure you don't want to watch a movie? episodes that you haven't seen before.
I never seen Redstone.
Do you want to watch that?
I never seen you.
Do you want to watch it?
No.
Do you want to watch it? Because I want to. They don't have more anymore, Ellie. Yeah. Okay. You want to watch Let's Go? Do you want to watch it? Go pick something. Get up there and pick something. Get up and pick something. I don't know. Is that what you're going to pick? Just pick something else. I don't want to watch Barbie. You've seen it too many times. Oh, I don't see it. Oh, I don't want to watch this, Ellie. Oh,
I'm okay, Dad.
I'm really so hungry. Holy cow. Okay, I'm turning this down, okay? Because I don't want to hear it. Watch it. Alright, sorry guys. My daughter she's got to watch her shows. Come on, Dom. I don't know how many of you are been here a while, like my channel a while, not like here. But I am a stay-at-home parent, so kid care is going to be a priority here, and there's nothing I can do about it, and I wouldn't really do anything about it anyway, but, okay, I can't remember where it was on this. Changing everything, that's where. Alrighty. Oh, I need to do the slide lock. That's right, I remember. I need to not get so far away from these projects. Oh wait, it looks like I already did it. Did I already do that? Oh, I remember where I was. I was readjusting my visuals. Well, let's go get some reference. So a very important part of this is stealing everybody else's ideas. I want the C96. Not really stealing, I mean kind of, but looking at the real world examples, I more or less, yeah, my wife works. She's my sugar mama and my baby mama and my middle school sweetheart and the writer of our comic that I posted a link to earlier. I love it. I love staying home with the kids, and not just because I get to make Nerf guns, but because I just really like being around them. It's hard to explain, but I feel like I'm really bad at making money. Like, I don't know that I'm lazy or not, but I definitely have always had a hard time, like, marketing my skills and finding places where people want to utilize my skills. And, but I know how to take care of animals to an extent. I take care of our dog fine, I take care of our 2 kids fine, and I think I take care of my wife just fine too. So as long as I'm keeping everybody alive here, I think it's a win-win situation. So, you know, I just keep an eye on them, but that means I've got to come and go from streams and things like that pretty frequently. You know, I kind of want to keep this like super simple. So we're just gonna cut my, I think this is where I was, to be honest. I don't think I've got those anymore. I think I took them off of this file. Do a new component, go that direction. What is that? Oh, it's my foregrip that I'm not going to do. I am streaming. I will probably do this when I can, but I don't know how to make it like consistent or regular. Just because it's kind of like what I feel like doing. But I do work on my designs every week, or every day, really, so, you know. 0.75 millimeters. Let's do it kind of deep. Okay. Cut. So I haven't done much with, I've never made a video on the turkey, so this isn't something that's been on YouTube if you're here from YouTube. This was a commissioned design by someone. He commissioned, he approached me and is like, hey, I think that it would be really cool to have like a top loading, blowback. Actually, this is, I probably would say that this is just about a version 2. Because it's so different. I never did figure out parts for it. Because I wasn't, at the time, like every design I get better at the whole process. And especially since the Pigeon Mark 8, which I still haven't released officially yet. I've been a lot more focused on making sure that it's, the parts are sourced, so therefore, you know, you can get like make master part numbers and stuff, and you can just buy them. I haven't gotten to it yet. I think there are some part numbers for the older version, but I've been working with Derek's son. His new brand is Frontline Foam rather than Sun's Guns. To, you know, offer these up. I don't think he's sold a single turkey, but he has it on his page for kits and stuff, but I never quite got this one to where I wanted it to be. I did get it working, and I said, hey, it does what I need it to, so I sent it to the guy who commissioned it. That was kind of like, the agreement is like, you're footing the bill for, and also, if anyone is interested in this, I would be happy to talk to you about this, but he came to me and he said, I want a top-loading Mauser-esque pistol. I was already considering it, so I said, okay, I'll do it for this much, and gave him a good deal, like a better deal than I would have if I hadn't already been thinking about it. I did. And so we collaborated on it, and he footed the bill for the first prototype. I made 3 prototypes. One got trashed because it didn't work. I had the second one on hand for me, and I gave him the third one. But the second one I never actually got my own copy up and running. And I was playing around with it, and I said, you know what, since I made the Mark 8 have blowback, this has to have blowback. I'm not gonna, like, my design sort of philosophy, I guess you could say, has really changed in the last 6 months. since I haven't really been making videos on YouTube, you know, a lot of this stuff might have gone unseen by people who aren't a part of my Facebook group or who aren't talking to me a lot. Well, since I was already interested in the design, like I was considering making something like this already, I charged him $350 for but that was like cutting him a deal. I would probably charge about $500 for a full from the ground up design. Yeah, exactly. Blowback for everything. For a full from the ground up design, like if you came to me and said, hey, I really want like an M4 or like I want this sci-fi gun from Destiny, and I wasn't just making a cosmetic modification, I would probably be, hello, I would probably be charging about $500 for a cosmetic. If you wanted like a super custom pigeon or turkey, if I ever get this running, I would probably still charge about $300. And that would be that you get a working prototype, whatever it takes, and in like color choice. So pretty much, you know, I'm charging about $200 for a pistol design anyway to sell. So you're buying a copy of the pistol, and you're buying my time to design it or customize it. These things take forever. They take so long to do. So I don't think that that's an unfair price. It is expensive though, but you'll have something no one else has. I mean, you know, that's cool. But so my design philosophy has changed. I want better disassembly, usually toolless if I can do it. And I love, especially on flywheels, because Springers have it already, haptic feedback so that you know it's shooting. So, oh, okay, Dom, I gotcha. So that you feel it shooting, you know? Because when you're just using flywheels, like say you're using a Strife, it just kind of it just kind of does it and that's it. There's no recoil, there's no blowback, there's no sensation of shooting. Oh yeah, that is actually a really low price. Like, I know that that's a really low price, but there's a couple of caveats there that I didn't mention. You know, there's that like there's three things and you choose two. There's time, like speed, quality, and price. And I always take the side of you don't get speed with me. I don't do anything fast. I actually can model really fast, but the problem with making these sorts of designs is that by the time you get to, like, I could probably block in like 80% of a blaster in one day. Oh yeah, tell me all about it. I'll just keep on talking about this. So I can block in, like, I could probably make a blaster like 80% done in one day, but the problem is that by that last 20% is all of the issues, like as was just mentioned in the chat: printing, assembly, tuning, tweaking, aesthetics. Those things take forever, and you know, that's why, you know, if you commission a blaster from me, and I won't do very many of those at a time for sure, it's going to take as long as it takes. There's no compromise for me on the time it takes, but I will compromise on price, because I know that, you know, a lot of the people that want these things, it's like, well, this is something that they really want, but they maybe can't afford something so expensive, and you know, and I should also mention that price would be for like a flywheel blaster, which I know how to make work no matter what. You know, if you have I mean, essentially you just need to mount the flywheels, stick a battery in, and have some sort of pusher. So anyway, I would love to hear about your turkey problems, Justin. One of the Justins. There's two Justins here at least. Okay, Dom, I know. So I was redesigning this. The entire design here has completely changed, because I wanted to have the feedback, the blowback, But I decided that I didn't want to just have like a back and forth action or even like a snapping action. What we have now is a very, very experimental and ridiculous system where the trigger pushes on. I'll actually go into the animation so you can see this maybe. Oh, it turned off my analysis. Never mind. So the trigger pivots and pushes on this tab, and you push the dart, and then it snaps, breaks, or whatever. You know, actually, the original turkey, I had it like 60% done in time. Like, I probably could have finished it last Thanksgiving, actually, but the guy needed to wait for his tax return to pay for it. And so I'd done a bunch because I wanted to, and I said, well, I'm not going to do any more until I get paid because I don't want to, like, put myself in a situation where, you know, I've made this thing and I don't get paid just in case, so, that's interesting. That's really weird. Anyway, so I think I could probably get this finished in time for Thanksgiving this year. The Turkey Mark II, I guess. Maybe I'll give it a different naming convention than my other stuff. Anyway, so what this does is it pushes the pusher forward, and then it snaps. It'll break after it shot the dart, and it bounces back, or it returns. And I'm hoping that you can make it return with enough force that it actually hits the slide in a real recoil. I'll find the video. I was super inspired by... and you'll be able to see because I've looked it up a couple times. This guy, and he has no subscribers. Like 164 is like nothing. This thing is so cool. So I'm gonna stream his video. It has real, actual recoil that's timed properly. It's so fucking cool. I'll put a link, copy the link here so you guys can see it. So, so I was inspired by his mechanism, which he went over in another video. And so I really think it's possible to, like, have that, but... Anyway, that's kind of about where I'm at with this, is that I want it to have kind of... I want it to have that sort of... that feeling of, like, actually doing stuff or whatever. So, you know. I was looking at the ACR again. I'd kind of be torn on what I'd want to do with it. Right, are the side panels printing holes. Okay, you mean these here? And they're only so thin because I was trying to keep it pretty narrow because this thing is fat. And oh, okay. Well, you know, I wanted to have vents, but I think if you were having issues with that, I might go back and address that for this version because, you know, before I was having quite a bit of feedback from the guy and having some, I kind of want to say, he wanted some things aesthetically, very particularly, that were less my style, but, you know, he was footing the bill, so I said, okay. But since it's now taken on a new life of its own, you know, it's kind of, I might, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I might actually go a little further on this. Because I discovered, at least to an extent, with the, well, I can't really do it on this one. So on the Magpie, this thing is stupidly narrow on the top because it just is covering the motors. Oh wait, I gotta turn on the motors. Hi, Dom. This thing is really, it's nice. that it's like so small, because the motor cover, the motors don't, there's not a real cage, there's like just this like flimsy little thing that just holds it. That's all that we've got for a cage, so it's like super minimalist, and I actually really like that quite a bit on this design. This one, I kind of feel like I can't go that thin on the cage because it still has to be really wide on the top to accommodate the wheels. The reason this one can have like what looks like a really narrow profile is because the wheel cover comes out over them, but it's at the bottom kind of where you don't really notice it. So it kind of gets a nice profile. This one, because the barrel's on the top, kind of doesn't work the same way. And yes, I did change the angle. Well, I mean, like I was saying, everything on this one internally is absolutely different. So the switch isn't in the same place at all. It's in a totally different place. It pivots like the Magpie, and because I went back because the design on this worked so well with the hammer, and this catch, this one-way push on the hammer worked so well. And I was thinking about doing a hammer. I was like, well, why even do a hammer when I can just make the pusher itself the part that catches or not? So, you know. Let me turn off this. I'll go into here. Turn down the opacity on some of these things. I have a million projects that have not seen the light of day in any public way, so I may work on those on some of the streams too. But anyway, so we can watch my animation for it, and I've also discovered that doing careful animations is really helpful in trying to tune the systems that I'm using. So pretty much we have it actually sort of recoil. So you know, the pusher pushes the dart, and it's on the trigger pivots, and at about this point, it releases it, and then the pusher slides back, hits the slide, slides back, returns, and then the trigger pivots back onto this single, this moving catch in the pusher itself, which means that the pusher mechanism is going to be a lot more complicated than before. But everything else, I mean, this is like, it's kind of complicated, but it's also kind of like a lot simpler in some ways. There's fewer moving parts in a lot of ways, and I was surprised at how nice having these systems, how nice these seemingly complex systems that you see in a lot of real firearms are actually really simple in a lot of ways. So I did want to kind of resolve some of my aesthetic issues here. You know, I wonder if I shouldn't. Maybe I should do that. Maybe the slide should be. I wonder if that would be worth doing, if it'll even let me. Oh, it will. Fascinating. Okay. I haven't really thought about this because I figured you kind of need to be able to get into the wheels, but I don't think you actually really do. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, like with the Magpie that with the Magpie, I found that the printed parts, if they're designed well enough, and I have had some poorly designed ones, they really don't seem to have anything like, dang it, I just want to see. Okay. Does that look weird? Kind of. It kind of does. That would make it a stronger part though. There's a little bit of overlap with the cage on them. But I think I should take them off. I don't think they're really... We were going for a little bit of a Star Wars vibe with them, but I don't really want this to be a Star Wars-y. I want it to be more like, actually like a Mauser. I don't want to make a full Mauser replica just because, oh, fuck you, Fusion. Just because I've been trying to steer away from actual replicas, which is hard because I really like making them. But, they're fun. It's fun to make something else that someone else has made, but I think that I don't want it to have like this... like I was saying, it's kind of the Turkey Mark II now, or whatever. And so I kind of want it to move away from like the style it had before. Oh, perfect. What is that? Where did that come from? Whatever. Man, it looks so fat. Oh, I also did like a full rework here. I guess the only way to really show that is if I have the old grip anywhere, and I don't. I shortened this by like a ½ inch or so. Like, a lot. And I changed the grip profile before it came out really far so that you kind of like hold it forward almost like a rifle. But I ended up wanting to go a little more classic Mauser, so it's got a straighter handle. I'm not doing a broom handle because I honestly don't know if a broom handle would fit the battery like I want to. I do know for a fact this grip, I don't know how, it will fit a 1500 Nanotech 3S in it. It sticks out the bottom like they're too long, but it just fits the whole thing, and the wires, and the leads. It's amazing, and I don't understand how I made that work. It kind of defies my brain. But and it's really comfortable. That's the other shocking thing. It feels really kind of small in the hand, probably because the battery's actually down here, and your hand is up here. And it is a really like tall grip. It puts a lot of length down on the bottom, but I've never found that length on the bottom causes a big issue in a sidearm. Like in the Pigeon, you know, it's kind of... I don't like having like a full-length katana mag coming out of it, but it doesn't actually inhibit the usage of it to have the extended mags. So now, like this one, I think because of the nature of it, having a forward mag, well, it has the same problems as holstering a Strife, where unless it's a really short mag like this, it won't go in a holster and hold the back of it, so you'll need like a strap to hold it, or a custom holster, or possibly like a holster system, which I guess I should make room for. I don't know. I'm glad there are some Turkey fans out there, because I don't know. A lot of people like thought, like, were like, oh, this is so cool, and then I just didn't feel like I don't see them very much. They don't, like, I don't see them in the wild. And I like seeing things in the wild. It's fun. Oh, fuck you, Fusion. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Oh, come on. Why does it do this? I wish I knew why Fusion did this. No, annoying. We're not getting any aesthetics in there. Stupid. Come on, come on. Why are you lagging? Whoa, people. Okay. Whoops. How come it's not in the comment thing? Oh, please no. It's not worth my time. I mean, like, I think these are like professional level blasters. I mean, I don't want to like, I want to maintain some humility on it. I don't want to be like egotistical, but I think I'm making fairly high quality content. I don't want to use a low quality program just because it doesn't, the novelty does not amuse me for it, and it would just frustrate me and irritate me, and I don't want to do that. Oh, so that's interesting. I'm glad I caught that. Even fusion sometimes is hard enough to do that I don't want to like, I don't want to do anything that would make the whole process any harder for me than it already is. What is that? What is that? What is that thing? Oh, I know what that is. I know what that is. Line lock? No, select guide. Okay. Where's my dart to? Interesting. Oh, that needs moved if I even do that thing. Okay. You know, all of that is still that tiny. Oh my gosh. Okay. Huh? What? Are you talking about my music? Ouch. No, it's Queens of the Stone Age. Let me. I should get paid for all the things that I look up and sell to you guys. I'm just gonna put this in here. This might be my favorite CD ever, which is why I picked it, partly. Okay. Where is the trigger group? Okay, I want to check my tolerances here for the rotation. Okay. I hope that's comfortable to pull. Did I ever? Oh, I never did finish this either. Oh wait, no, I know what that is. Interesting. No, that's not what I thought it was. Okay. Oh, I never did adjust this. That's why I'm having this. Okay. Where was I gonna run the wires on this thing? I'm weird. Hey Alex, how's Dom doing? Is he just watching with you? Okay. Okay. Oh. What's that? Oh, you do? Maybe sometime. I should. Do you mean the bullpup or like the ACR? Because in the bullpup, I'm not changing anything. That is not worth changing. It works how I want it to, pretty much. So I'm not gonna mess with that. But in the ACR, it'd be pretty cool to have that. I'm not sure if it would fit. Because so the thing about this whole pusher design is it's really low and designed low because the battery was supposed to go above it, and frankly I might be able to make it shorter even. So I wanted the battery to go above the whole pusher mech, and I don't want to like mess with that in the ACR because the battery goes in the stock. It might give me more room to work with, but oh my god. Okay, dude. Yeah, it was kids. We had the stroller inside, and my little guy Dominic knocked it over on himself. And then I looked at the clock, and he's way overdue for a nap anyway. So I am back. I agree that blowback in the ACR would be really cool. The problem with the ACR and why I've gone back and redone a lot of my blasters already, like the MHP, the Pigeon, etc. My problem with the ACR is that it's one of my very earliest Fusion designs, and because of that, I didn't really account for things like tolerances and the parts connecting, assembly. It's a mess. And the MHP2 was actually based off of a lot of those files, and so it's kind of a mess too in similar ways. And that's why I've been going back. Like, these aren't like tweaks, these are full redesigns. I did take a look at it because what I really wanted for it was, I'll even pull it open so you guys can take a look at it. Okay, come on. Come on, computer. Yeah, I don't want to redo the whole thing. I could, but I'd probably want to make something just totally straight up new. But so what I was doing, I was thinking about tuning it because I was thinking about selling the one that I had to a friend, was that I wanted to throw in this, my 2-round burst mechanism that I have in the XR2 bullpup. And then I wanted to do this cage setup so that I could get 200 FPS or close. Because my problem with my bullpup, and I don't know if I'm going to go through with this because this thing is a monster to print, and so is the bullpup. But in the case of the XR2, if this is the latest version, I'd only have to modify and reprint 2 parts to change to this cage setup with the double hurricane, like the Woozy. All of that said, the ACR is like a joy to use in terms of ergonomics. I mean that's what the company that made it is known for, is ergonomics, and so I couldn't really go wrong. I couldn't really go wrong copying it or whatever. But so I'm pretty sure that I guess I'd have to cut. Okay, if I cut a few spots and make a few modifications, I can fit like 4 stages in my bullpup of these. I wouldn't, but what, Ellie? Like what? You gotta ask better. Remember, you gotta ask nicely. Yeah, you do see that. Ellie, what food? Go tell me what food you want, and maybe I'll get it. No. You go up there first. You look, and then you come back and tell me. Yeah, you do. But that's a super side project that maybe someday I'll get to. So I was thinking about this. This would be only a few parts to reprint instead of everything, which this would pretty much be, I have to reprint everything to make this happen. So I'm not super into that. I do think that it's a cool, like, I love the design. I might approach it sometime, but I want to get some of my outstanding projects that I've got going done first. Yeah, we'll see how close I get. I'm not doing that right now. I just closed it. I still feel that, in terms of like primaries and stuff, there's plenty of designs all over the place, but I do feel like in the case of like secondaries, there's still like a lack. You want chips? Alright. to make this dual stage. Bring that length back out so we can have two. And then give it like the rifle stock thing, the stock holster. Alrighty, no, let's bring that in here and then. I wish this thing, I should have been smarter about how I designed this thing so that it was more toolless than it is. Let's do 180. Oh well. I could do a dual stage pigeon, but the problem is that you need a bigger battery for 2 stages, really, and that would cut directly into battery space, and I don't think I could mount a switch in there, and I just haven't wanted to. It's always been low on the priority list. Also, from what I understand, the highest you can get with 2 of the Flywheel the World stages is like 160. Some people are getting like 130 with a single stage and a really good feed on the pigeon and stuff. And so I just don't really want to... Dang it, stop. I don't really want... Why can't I grab that? Is it already combined? What the fuck? Bullshit. What the hell? Fucking... I just want... No, I want to like combine those two. There we go. So when you're getting enough performance anyway that you're only getting like minimal gains, like 10 or 15 FPS, like in the Falcon, which, you know, in the defense of the Falcon, being 1 or 2 stages, it gets about 90 at a single stage and 125, which is a big boost. That's like 30 FPS. Because the feed angle is so steep at 15 degrees instead of 9, which is what the pigeon is. And, you know, that's completely ignoring like other things like angled feed magazines and stuff. His second stage is only gaining you about 12 FPS more than a pigeon. And that's just because of the feed of the angled, like the angled feed and stuff losing things. I was in a chat with him, the designer of that, and he also mentioned that it had less crush and a tight barrel guide, which I didn't know. So that might be what's costing it more FPS than the angle of the feed. But either way, you know, it's you're gaining the performance with the extra stage, but that's so much more battery consumption in a pistol that doesn't hit that hard no matter what you do anyway. So it's like, I kind of don't want to do that with pistols. I want to keep them kind of like lower FPS so that they're more, you know. Ooh, people looking at my list of projects. Alright, I'll pull this open. I showed this yesterday. I'll show it again. So there's so much to do here that I don't want to do. So I've got to test, I got to work out the feed angle. I got to work out a whole magazine for it. Plus I'm going to have to find magazine springs. Ew. But instead of having a lifter, the mag just is supposed to stick it up. Anyway, I haven't gotten very far in this. I'm not going to today. That's one of those projects. I actually have a hard time, like I really enjoy messing with other people's files, and then I ultimately don't want to do anything with them because I just don't, since they're not mine, I just don't fully understand how to really really tweak them and make them into something without ending up redesigning them entirely like I did with the Magpie. maybe someday. Maybe someday. I was hoping I'd be able to prototype a whole bunch of designs that I'm not going to scroll down so you can see once I moved in, but I've been having so many printer problems that I've just been trying to get my pigeons working and stuff and getting it to just do what I want it to anyway. And I think some of it is just filament or something, I don't know. I need to try a different Bowden tube. So, I don't know. We'll see. Alright. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was going to look at the slide log. Okay, I've got that. Got that. How does the slide walk work on a real Mauser? Have I unlocked that on my game? Hey, I can, okay. Get it. No, I don't have enough. How much do I have? Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid close. Gosh, I'm actually 200 away, I can just... So, I mean, you could look at, I guess, my older designs, and what you'd find... Ooh, now that is interesting. Wait. So what you'd find is that earlier in my channel, I actually haven't posted very many videos about my printed designs when there are as many as there are. Yeah, me too. I need a tank, and I need a safe place to get the tank and to fill the tank, and it's like, I don't know. It's hard to, like, be able to, like, I don't know. It's hard to be able to get that. Anyway, what I was going to say is that the, I did stuff with normal Nerf blasters for a long time, for probably about 3 years, actually. And I ended up making some pretty neat stuff, if I do say so myself, like a shell-ejecting shotgun. That kind of came onto the scene just before the Spring Thunder. And then, so he, GDOP Harrison, had a CO2 shotgun that he made. And I saw that was working on the ASG, which was mine, that was based off the Exu shell or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So he made that. I saw it. I saw how smooth his cycling was and said, holy shit, I've got to get to that level of cycling. I never did, by the way. Yeah, exactly. I agree. So finishing my story, though, I like to respond to the comments, the chat or whatever. But so he saw mine that was spring powered and he said, hey, that's cool. So he ended up switching from a CO2 power system to a spring piston power system, like a normal, Springer, and utilizing his better mechanical. He's an actual, engineer where I'm not, and so anything I was doing was just like as a fan of engineering, as a amateur trying to do stuff. But he legitimately knows his stuff and knows what he's doing and has learned. I think he went to school for it or is still in school. Where I went to school for illustration. So like, I have aesthetics down or whatever, but not always mechanisms the same way. But so he inspired me to, and I talked to him actually about how to make the ASG better, how to like index shells better. And so he helped me with that. And then I ended up kind of inspiring him to do the spring powered part of the Spring Thunder. And the shell ejecting shotgun timeline is really complicated. But so I ended up making mine, and it was janky as hell. And as I was putting it together, even though I had 3D printed parts in it and stuff, it was so tedious and so complicated to actually build and fit that shit into a shell that someone else had designed, that I don't think there are any others that I didn't make. Yeah, those files are some of my earliest files on Thingiverse. They're up there, and there's like I made like 11 videos on how to build it, but to my knowledge, no one did. Because right after, and like being real on it, the parts cost was insanely high. Like you spend $80 on the shell just to put it in. If you already have one and you're like, I don't want to make a normal like Zeus, that's one thing. But to actually go out of your way to do that, you'd end up spending $200 on the parts. You can buy a whole Spring Thunder for that much. If I was going to sell them, I'd have to charge like $500 or more for each one for something that's just janky and shitty. And you can buy a Spring Thunder for $200, And like, yeah, the Spring Thunder doesn't shoot 3 darts at a time unless you do Boomco. And it does that really, really well. But the operation of the Spring Thunder is so good and so smooth that it's like, but it doesn't matter what you're shooting because it's better. It is better. And, a lot of people have said that the aesthetics of my shotgun were better, and maybe they were. I don't really think so personally. But when you're using something, at a Nerf war, you at some point can't really care about the aesthetics if it's not functional. Like, if it doesn't work, it still doesn't work, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. And so, and then someone using the Spring Thunder as a basis, I think it's called the Sobek, is in where was it? He's in Europe. I know that he made. Let me find it. Actually, it might be in here. My Spring Thunder is like buttery smooth. I did have to replace the bolt, but for me. I mean, like. So I actually did have, yeah, I don't think it's here. Yeah, it didn't get posted here. That's kind of a bummer. So I did, that's interesting. I bought mine from him. I didn't build it. I don't know if that's the situation you're in. I'm not going to assume that it is or not. But I actually used my friend's Spring Thunder before, at an event before I got mine. Like, he got his the weekend before I did. And, wait, how do I see what I, upvoted or something? There we go. So I used I used his Spring Thunder before I had mine. And then I used my shotgun afterwards, like at the same event, and I was so disappointed by how shitty it was. like it just didn't work, and it was a huge disappointment, and I said, man, I'm glad I'm getting a Spring Thunder. So I'm posting this here. This is, I don't know exactly how Harrison G.26 feels about this. I haven't talked to him about it. but it is a slightly larger version of the Spring Thunder, or at least the tubes are bigger and stuff, and it was based off of it, and it uses some different things, I think, internally. It's supposed to be a little easier to make. You don't need the Spring Thunder, with its custom cut priming bars that are laser cut. This doesn't use that, and the bigger thing is that it's got an actual triple dart shell that you can use. I might want to make one of these someday or whatever. Oh, look, there it says. So, but I don't think he's selling these or anything kits for that or whatever. Anyway, but so that's like, I guess your answer. If you want the 3-dart Sledgefire sort of shooting, Sledgefire shells suck, and working with them sucks. So I'm never touching those again in that form. I'd rather build the Sobek or whatever. I do still, like I was saying, I do still also want to build like the Saiga version, so to speak, like the shell or the mag fed, but that is a lot of work to figure out, and I'm not ready to do that just yet. But I do have the files to do just that with, so someday it'll happen. And then if I get that working and it works well, I think that that'll show up on GDOT's shop. So, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I've done 0 prototyping on this so far, but I have something else that might be semi-collaborative with him that I want to get off the ground but haven't gotten to it yet. So, Alright, back to the MHP. This is the big thing I want to get going though, because I want to take it to the next month's war. Really bad. So I guess I should check. What do I need to do with it? It's such a pain in the ass to... This thing has gotten so complicated that I can't even navigate it anymore. Oh, hey, that's not good. Gotta get those. I think I meant to do that. Every time I make something, I sit there and I'm like, this is my new favorite, and then I make something else that I like even more. So, I don't think it's fair for me to sit here and say, this is my favorite. I love how this thing looks. It's my favorite ever, because it's like, it won't be forever. That's still not going to work. That's what I think is going to happen here. I don't think that's right. Oh, fuck off, Fusion. It's just a simple... Oh, fuck. That's why I didn't do it. Oh. Should I attach the rail to the motor cover, or should I not do that? I kind of don't like it. It feels kind of janky. You're saying I shouldn't connect the motor cover and the rail? Because that's how I have it now. Because there's already mounting points for the rail. But I guess I have to make mounting points for the slide or for the cover either way. If, well, I could. I don't have to. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting antsy to prototype this shit, to be honest. Nah, I don't want to. I'd rather have it be slightly asymmetric, because I actually did a lot on making the visual style of it, and I thought that it was actually going to be wide enough to cover the motors just in the frame. And then it turned out that my motors had been moved in the file further off-center or whatever. And when I put them out, it ended up being that I had to have a motor cover. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have two versions. One where there's no motor cover at all. Because I don't want to like mess with this aesthetic. And it will fit brushless without any brake. So I guess it could just be a brushless blaster, but I don't want to leave it without options for people who don't want to get into brushless, and frankly, I can't afford to build a second brushless blaster yet, like right now, without making more sales and making more money. So I wanted to have like the option that you could just throw whatever it is you normally have in it. And I also wanted to have the option, or I kind of wanted it to be just straight ready to take a woozy cage. Yeah, exactly. I love like this for me, like the aesthetic style here is awesome. Like it's one of my favorites. It's a huge break from how I normally do things, and I feel like it was a good choice. It really changed. I actually had, I think I deleted all the files. Wait, I have it somewhere actually. Oh, no, I don't. I'd have to go into a way old version of this, I think. What was that one? Let me see what this is. It's fucking nothing. Oh, this is an empty file. I should delete that. So, I was working on... I have I have a picture of it, so I'll just pull that up. At least I think I do. Somewhere, maybe. Oh, where it don't. Okay, so this is the this was where it was going, and the big change here was that it was gonna be fatter and takedown like it is right now, and it looks okay. I mean, at the time I was like, hey, this looks nice. And then I set it aside because I do that with a lot of my designs. I shelve them, so to speak, so that I can come back to them later. And I came back to it and I was like, I'm not feeling it. And then I was going through Pinterest because Pinterest is the best. If you need ideas for things like concept art, Nerf guns, clothes, I don't know, whatever it is, like as an artist, Pinterest is like second to none in terms of its usefulness to me. So I was actually like I was on Pinterest and I saw this concept, and I guess I'll pull that up because why not? I might actually have it saved because I've been trying to save pictures for later on my actual computer so that I don't like fucking lose everything. Okay, so I saw this and I was like, holy hell, that looks amazing. Just like this, it was this spot here where it's got this insert cut out for the rail, and I said that would be so awesome on the MXP, so I did it. Kind of use that as inspiration for like reassessing my visual style for it, and just went with it, and it looks so much better with that. It doesn't need the side rail to look right though. And I feel like aesthetically it matches my bullpup a little better. It hits a level of complexity visually that's really nice. I feel like makes it more satisfying to look at, makes it feel nicer and cooler and stuff. So, and I'm hoping that the ergonomics are better too. I was noticing when I ran my Pigeon pretty much exclusively at West vs. Zombies, I noticed that in this spot here, where I've got just a full-on circle, I was getting a lot of like finger rubbing, and that's where all the weight was kind of being held in the Pigeon because it's really front heavy. That won't be as much of an issue here, but I noticed that if I'd had this little like groove here, it probably would have been more comfortable, because then some of the weight would have been put on my other fingers instead of just the middle finger, but the ring finger too. So I put that here as sort of my test for it. I probably won't actually ever do a Pigeon that has that, but you know, you never know. That's mostly because grip geometry is such a pain in the ass to get figured out.
Yeah, because I was trying to fix it.
Oh yeah? Okay, let me see what I can do. Oh, I don't think I can get that, baby. Okay, let me see if I can fix that for you, baby.
We do it on the outside because that's what we do.
Okay. The thing about grip geometry is that because it's all like rounded edges and stuff, and Fusion does that okay, but it doesn't love them. Like this, the lower on this, the lower receiver, I guess, the handle, the frame, grip, whatever you want to call it. Ellie, I can't get this back together because my fingernails suck and I can't do it. You'll have to wait for me to get some tools out. You might have to put a link. I've seen a few Sten styled blasters, but if you mean like a legit Sten, I'd like to see that. Anyway, all these curves and stuff, they get really painstaking. This whole part, if I even measure using it, like if I touch it in any way, it will lag the whole computer, like the whole program just like seizes up and takes forever to register any changes. I don't even think this is like that complex. Well, where's the clicker, babe? Give me a controller. Because I don't have one.
My hand is where I have a juice box.
We'll go get a controller. But so, like the Pigeon grip is satisfactory. I'm pretty satisfied with it. So it's really hard when it's hard to model those parts to want to go back and change it when it's good enough now. But never say never. I try not to ever totally dismiss an idea, even if I don't think I'm going to. I didn't think I was going to make another MHP. I said the MHP2 is good enough. And then look at how wrong I was. Here I am, doing exactly that. Making the third version of it. And I'm glad that I am, because I've learned, you know, enough since doing the MHP2, especially in some ways. The big thing, the reason I was like, hey, I'm going to sell some of these, I'm going to make them, I'm going to get them out there to the people who need them, and then I printed a couple, and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this thing. It uses so many supports, it's so frustrating to put together. It's not very it's not very graceful. And like graceful solutions to problems are kind of important to me. It's kind of a weird word, but it is the right word to me, because things should go smoothly, they should work easily and stuff, you know. And I want them to. And the MHP2 does not do that. Yeah, me too. I didn't want to, actually, but then, you know, I feel like a lot of my inspiration comes from weird places. Like I've mentioned a few times, you know, before I got into any...
I'm watching my moves, okay?
Okay, did you get me the controller? Find a controller so I can turn it back on, babe. Like I've mentioned a few times to a few people, you know, I hadn't done any like designs or anything yet, but my friend Mike gave me 5 katana mags. He bought them pre-order, and he bought them specifically because he was like, you need to make a handle-fed blaster. He wanted a pistol like the Pigeon, which I didn't think at the time was possible. And without the addition of, you know, the technological gift to the Nerf community of Adrian Ward's Flywheel the World system, there wouldn't have been a way that I would get that. There's no way I could have made what the Pigeon is without the tiny wheels and stuff. And his, like, really intelligent design for using it. I never would have thought of doing any of the things he did myself. Because I'm not an engineer in any way, and I don't like to make new systems and new ways of doing things like new flywheels. Anyway, so I was just holding, like, I'd had them for a couple of weeks. We were about to have Dom. I think we were like a couple weeks out from having him. And I was just holding the mag, and I was like, holy shit, I love how these feel in my hand. I want to have a blaster that uses them. So that's what inspired the original MHP, was just holding this mag. And as I've mentioned to other people, why I don't like Talons, ultimately really comes down to that I don't think I would have had that inspiration to do anything with them if those had been the first. I wouldn't have held a Talon and said, man, this should go in a grip and have a grip-fed blaster. They weren't inspiring. But, you know, so it's those little things that kind of give me a lot of inspiration. Like the turkey, I was sitting there, I had a Pigeon I was testing for someone that I was selling, and I had the slide off so that I could test the wheels really early on. And again, it is the katanas that I really like. I was top loading the mag, and I was like, I really like how that feels. Like, the tactile experience of loading the magazine from the top in katanas is really nice. And I was like, I want a blaster that is based around that concept of that you pull the slide back and top it off and then release the slide. So that's why I was willing to take on that commission. It was because I'd already wanted to do that sort of a design. And then, so for the MHP3, the thing that inspired me, like, legitimately, was that I was just playing with my Mark 8. I was doing, like, field strips and field assemblies just over and over, like, pulling it apart, putting it back, pulling it apart, putting it back. And I was like, I want a primary that does that. I want my MHP to do that. And so here we are. Because I can't overemphasize how fun it is to be able to, like, just pull something apart with no tools. You can just pull out a pin and then everything comes off. It's awesome. And then knowing that it's, like, held together as well as it is when it's got just a couple of pins in it is kind of crazy. It's weird to be, like, coming from, like, working on, you know, Hasbro blasters and everything's held in with screws and butterflies, like, clamshell in half or whatever. And it was really hard to get past that mindset that everything should clamshell together and you should use screws to hold everything. And then I'm playing this, like, game called World of Guns. It's a gun disassembly game. It's really cool. I'll get a link to that too, because like, I like that. I like that game a lot. And this is really, I do the Google Play one. This is really, like, really helpful if you want to design blasters to understand how, like, real guns work and come apart and disassemble. And I was just, like, shocked that the only guns that use screws are revolvers and lever actions. Everything else, it's like pins everywhere. And they're not even, like, retention pins that, like, expand. They're just pins, just thrown into it. It's really cool. And that, like, really looking at that and thinking about how, like, real firearms work. Not that I've even ever held a real firearm, I haven't. But I really, mechanically, I think they're fascinating and really interesting. And, you know, I've done a little bit of paintball and airsoft, so it's not like I've only ever shot a Nerf gun, but I haven't shot a real gun. And I'm meaning to change that someday, go to a range and try them out just for fun, but there's no plans for that anytime soon. But mechanically, as I was saying, they're really cool, and I want, like, I feel like we could use a little more of that in the Nerf hobby, especially because some of it just is like so like sensible, like being able to field strip, especially, I mean, guns are put through their paces enough that it's like, I don't really think that they need the same level of, like, I mean, first off, field stripping and disassembly is really highly considered in their designs anyway, but we have so many jams and malfunctions at Nerf events and in Nerf guns and stuff that it's just like we really need to be able to fix them in the field. Like, you need to just be able to pull off an upper receiver, clear a jam, and close it without having to, like, oh, I gotta get out my screwdriver, I gotta pull everything in half, I gotta carefully fit these wires here and there. And so that's part of why I've been changing my approach to the way that I build my blasters and stuff. Nah. Someday I'll try and get a stream up of actually how to build things and assemble things, or how to design blasters. I was talking to someone about doing just that. He's Colorado. He was at West vs. Zombies. We actually got to meet in person, which was cool. We were talking about doing that, but I think life has gotten in the way a little too much for him. That we haven't been able to do anything with it. But I'd still like to sometime. Anyway. Alright, here we go. This will probably do for... I probably should make this bigger. Alright, let me pull up my chat again. Sorry guys, I lost it. Okay. Oh god, yes. Alright, so... that was Jesse. We actually even, so we actually started, I don't even want to pull it up though, because we were going to scrap it and try again. We already started a blaster that we were going to do, and it was going to be sort of semi-strife style, and then we were going to release the step files, so anyone could edit them, and I still have been meaning to do this, I just haven't. We recorded it, we did about 2 hours, and we didn't get a recording of it. And we're like, oh my god. And then we almost went back to it, and then life got in the way. I think he got a new job and he couldn't conform to my schedule, and I couldn't conform to his, so we haven't done anything with it yet. As for native brushless design, no and yes. I try to make everything that I do capable of both, but the XR2 MHRB2, 2B, whatever it is, the bullpup, is actually 100% ready to go with at least a single stage brushless. you can put a solenoid in there. You can put a solenoid rear for full length and forward for half lengths. And I guess you could, I have never made an auto pusher for it yet, so you could do that and you could set it up brushless. Mine is brushless. And it actually works way better brushless than brushed because the motor fit is so tight with brushed motors. But with brushless, it's all smooth. Everything fits just lovely. So that one is native brushless, I would say. Not like a fully outfitted like FDL style thing, but it will take an ultrasonic cage no problem. And this one is going to have a version of the shell that doesn't have cutouts for motor covers. For anyone who wants to do it brushless, you just print the narrower, nicer version of it. But because not everything works out like I want it to, we're still going to have, like a brushed version, unfortunately. So, I would really like to have a brush. I mean, so I have a problem too. The FDL is really cool, but I don't want one because I can't afford one, partly. And so I've been tempted to contemplate what it would take to make a FDL competitor of mine, and I just don't think that I have the engineering, mechanical, electric intelligence and knowledge to make such a thing happen. But so I've kind of been wanting to make, that is a little bit why I've been wanting to make a few more brushless blasters that are ready to go with more complex systems and stuff. I wanted this one to be able to do that a little bit, but the reality of what happens and what I design and stuff is always different than whatever. See, I kind of would think about that, but well, if he'd like it, maybe I will sometime. The only issue that I had with his design was I've heard that the firing system and all of that, the entire the software side of it is really complicated, and I've seen his builds and they are just like, they're really complicated, and I look at it and I'm like, I can't do that. But maybe a Hycon cage or something would work. Bigger wheels and stuff is something that I've thought about briefly but haven't done anything with because mostly because it's such an endeavor to accommodate them aesthetically, and I haven't gotten to the point yet of, I don't think it does personally. I think it's going to come down to personal preference. And thanks, Brianna. And that the FDL is, I hate to say it because I'll think about it, but I don't want you to send me anything until I'm actually ready to actually build or design something, because I'm not ready for that at all right now. But the MHP3 is going to be something that I think you'll use if you really want that ergonomics and sort of styling. But the FDL3 is I mean, I used one and I actually didn't really like it very much. But that's kind of because it was almost too good in as a multi-purpose, just if I was going to recommend a blaster to someone, they were like, I want something that's rugged and effective and good, and price isn't such a consideration, I would send them to the FDL because it just works. Mountain West event. Is there something I don't know about? But the FDL3 is really like, I mean, they've done a really, really good job with that. It's like just it's so competent, it's so capable, and I don't want to say it because I didn't want to like it, and I still kind of don't like it. I have mixed feelings. Like, I want I want something like it, but I don't want it, if that makes sense. Mostly just because I really have gotten attached to building my own things. There are a few exceptions where, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Anyway, I will say I wanted to address earlier there was mention of a lever action, and I could safely say that has been on my mind for a long time. So, no promises, but maybe someday. Oh, that's way better. Let me just say that a lever action is going to need a lot of prototyping, and I'm not ready for that yet. Hi, Al. And that motor cover looks okay. It's not like amazing, but hi, you, Alice. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna just fuck it up.
Is that a scary song?
A scary song? Oh my gosh, Katie, stop. Alright. I'm getting chatted at. Ah. How about you do it?
You do it.
She knows it's bad words and she doesn't say them. Isn't that right, Ellie? Get out of here. What? You do it. I don't want to throw it away. This is a strictly sailor household and we speak like fucking sailors here. No, actually, I'm really glad that. I mean, I'm kind of torn. Do you have to? Yes, you can have a sucker. I know. Yeah, I know. So you have to. You're welcome. I'm torn on if I'm proud of my daughter for for being like, that's a bad word, don't say that. Or if I'm disappointed that I won't have her, swear up a storm at school or something. Because, there are those times where it's just so funny. The scatter shot, like that three dart mag fed shotgun. Because that thing was cool, but I have a problem where I spend, it's hard enough to even do anything but my own designs anyway. To go ahead and build someone else's when, I don't know what time and materials that'll need is hard to justify, I guess I'd say. Because I thought that thing was really cool. I saw a lot of potential, but, Oh. There we go. That's good. Oh, no, so the thing is that, like, when you have your kids and then they, like, you have your kids and they're growing up and they're doing all these, like, amazing things or whatever, and then you hear them swear and it's so funny. And, sometimes it's really hard as a parent to, like, decide between, do I want them to do that hilarious thing, or do I want them to be, like, good, well-adapted members of society, and you're legitimately torn in two because they're a riot when they're so, like, barbaric. Anyway. And then, but you also want them to be, like, you don't want them to get made fun of or something or get in trouble. Oh. I do think that, like, I have a better aesthetic sense than a lot of the other designs out there, but usually I try not to place too much value on, like, just aesthetics because, there are people who are making things that are ugly but do amazing things, and I think those are just as amazing as anything that, like, looks good but doesn't perform well. I like to think that I find a little bit of a middle ground in both, where they look good and perform relatively good, but I'm not a terribly performance-oriented, like, modder and designer, so, like, it's kind of it's sort of a little different than that. And, like, sometimes I get really used to things. Like, I was sitting there, I was, like, looking at how I could personally modify the Spring Thunder to be, like, more aesthetically pleasing, and I literally can't think of anything that I'd want to change about it that would suit its style without just doing something totally different. Like, I'd probably end up wanting to just design my own shotgun instead that is different and uses different parts and all that. Because I got so, like, attached to how it looks. Because I actually kind of like it. It looks a little, well, I mean, obviously we want looks good, shoots good, but not everyone has the sense of looks good, and sometimes you are sacrificing shoots good for looks good. And like I was saying about the Spring Thunder, I really actually it grew on me, and I like it. I would say that it visually feels a little unresolved, especially in some places, and ergonomically, I would say there are some deficiencies. But people have worked to fix that, including myself. Like I made a new handle for my Spring Thunder, and it's the only handle I've ever designed that I'd be like, that's a 5 out of 5, or close. And but like, that said, like the performance and function of it is so good that it's hard for me to care as much about the aesthetics when he made it work so well. Crap. Okay. Ooh. I love when that happens. Okay. I'm getting messages on Facebook. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's better. That's better than I expected. I feel like motor covers are frustrating because they can be really nice and work, but you're always kind of I don't know, you're working against it because it's essentially like a cancer hump on your blaster. And we can make it look okay. Like I think this looks all right. Let's turn it pink so you guys can see it better. The black doesn't show details super great. I got this sweet pink filament. It was Hatchbox. And Hatchbox is my favorite filament. It's not totally unlike this pink, but brighter. I can't make it any brighter. I wonder if you can change the background in Fusion. Anyone know how to do that? Ooh. Oh, no, that's not it. Nah, I can't do it anymore. Alright, I think I'm going to call it a day here. I don't feel like I got that far on this, but I do feel like my motor cover looks okay. And so that'll be enough for now. I'm probably going to try and make it so that at some point I need to add connections between the two halves on the upper. Because we might be able to print it in one piece. But I wanted all these parts to actually always be two pieces so that you could just print them on a smaller printer, and if something goes wrong in your printing, it's not so disastrous. Also, looking at it now, there's no good print orientation for this, so, you know. So, you know, how expensive was it? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I gotta clean and stuff. I feel that this is coming along. I'm hoping I'll get to prototyping soon. When I start prototyping, I might do some streams out in the garage where I do my Nerf stuff. But we'll see, because I don't have like a great place to put like my phone to do the streaming and stuff, and I probably can't see the chat. But we'll see. I'll see what I can do to set up out there some. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.